Hey everybody, it's Dr. Dave Fletcher here from CLA, and I think you know that beautiful smiling face that's looking younger every day. Below us is the honorary Dr. Dave Major. Dave, it's always been my great pleasure to introduce you and to spend my time with you, and here you are.
Thank you very much. In fact, tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm going to be 64. Can you believe
God,
it?
you're just a punk youth still at 64. Hey, you know what? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending the adult years of your life doing what we're going to talk about today, which is promoting chiropractic and loving every minute of it. You know, I got you on we thought was going to be a call that was on Facebook Live. We're redoing it in this format, but you know, regardless whatever format we're in, Dave, one of the things that you and I do so well when we have these conversations is we bring chiropractic to the front page of people's lives. And I really mean this. And I know for people that maybe don't know you as I have over the years, there is no one better than you when it comes to, certainly there's no one more experienced than you, but I'm going to say experienced and better than somebody who, like yourself, can stand in front of people and really get the message out there. Now, for the sake of being, you know, catering to those who don't know you and catering to those who are just new to this, I'm going to ask you 3 great questions so that we can get them. And they're simple to you, but they may be really seminal to the others. And I'm going to ask you about yourself and screening and the rest of it. But let's get them so that they know where we're going with this. Dave, in all the years that you've been screening and using the insight technology in the screening in front of people, where do you find is the very best venues to look for to do some screening in the community?
Well, instead of naming places, number one, a lot of people.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, people who are not in a rush.
Okay.
You know, who are looking at, you know, different things, booth, whether it's a craft fair, whatever. You know, we did, you know, things in the mall for a long time in the 80s. But, you know, the kiosks is people have that, they're on the hunt for that one thing. And they're not looking for that. You know, if they're at a home show or a women's expo where there's a lot of people, a lot of booths, they're looking at everything, you know. So I say a lot of people, they're not rushing around. And people who, again, maybe for the event, have to either pay to get in for the event. They know that they feel that where they're going, they don't mind spending money, you know, for whatever it is. So,
sure.
Yeah. So not just all freebie stuff, you know.
I love that because, you know, and number one, I think that it validates why you're there. For instance, you mentioned women's shows, mm-hmm. and those are huge. You know, I have a friend of mine who's a chiropractor, Dr. Martha Nessler, and she's down in New Zealand. You know Martha, of course.
Yeah.
And you know, she has built an empire. She does besides her chiropractic, she has built an empire around her doTERRA at women's shows. You know, she meets them at the level under which she wants to relate to them, but she stands as you and I do in the events, and there's that expectation that there's going to be something relevant to women in a women's show. And mm-hmm. So for her, she brings that message through her product line. But what you and I are talking about is something that's relevant to women. And you know what, to me, that comes forward is family. Is the idea of being in a women's show, and speak to that for a moment, Dave, of how you in a women's show would really relate to the people walking by.
That's a beautiful question. Okay, number one, here's what I do. I go, hey, look at all this beautiful stuff to make you pretty. I said, but guess what? Here's one of my favorite sayings, and the women look, I go, the outside flatters, but the inside matters. And I said, so we're going to see how beautiful you are on the inside. Yeah. And the central nervous system checks everything, and you know, and then I'll look at the scan. I'll go, "You're pretty on the outside, but UGLY, you ain't got no alibi. That's ugly. Oh, that's ugly." and they start laughing, and I go, "Yeah." So who cares? I said, "Now you look like 20 on the outside. Maybe it's a 6-year-old lady." She goes, "Ooh." I said, "But inside, you look about 100." Let's try to revert. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. So so that's the one thing how I kind of catch them. Hey, we're doing a beauty scan. What? We're checking the inside, see how beautiful you are on the inside.
Nice. That's fantastic. And you know what I love about that is that it has nothing to do with back, you know,
right.
with back problems, back pain. It didn't confuse them, which I can do better than just about anybody, you know. I can take them on some journey about some neurotholyptic this and that type of thing. And I just love the realities that you're meeting the people at themselves. I think one of the greatest stories that you have ever come up with, and the greatest conversations you've ever come up with, is the difference between feeling and function. Do you want to share that with the conversation right now?
Yes, definitely, definitely. So when they come by, the hardest thing is to grab them over. So one of the things that I say is say it's a 7-year-old couple, and I say, hey, we're doing. When's the last time you're checked? And they're like, checked for what? And then they'll say, oh, no. And I go, hey, your daughter would like to. And the 7-year-old lady just beams and stuff, and she goes, well, I feel okay. And I go, well, listen, so let me ask you one important question. If you had a serious problem, would you feel it? I mean, serious health issue of any kind. Most of the time, or maybe only 10% of the time. Oh, most of the time, no. Come over here. Let me show you this poster that says this handsome, brilliant man came up with. And I showed them. I said, motor nerves control the muscles and the autonomic controls all your internal systems, the organs, And I said, but only 10%. And they just look at me kind of weird, like, really? So, you don't base your health on feeling, you base it on function. That's why we don't have health care, we have sick care. And even a dentist wants me to make a poster because the tooth is 90% enamel, 10% nerve. He said, we have the same problem. And I looked at the person, here's another analogy. I said, did you ever go to the dentist and say, I feel great? And they do a checkup and you got 3 cavities. You think they're lying, but you could have 70% of your tooth rotten and not touch that 10%. You eat a soft piece of bread and your tooth breaks off, and you go, how'd that happen? Everybody, that when I put that in that context, they realize, and just like heart disease, the first symptom 60% of the time, Farmington study says, is death, the symptom, boom. Oh yeah, I know, my Uncle Harry just sat down and boom, was gone. So you don't want to wait till how based on your feel, because you need 60% damage to a nerve before you actually feel it. So this off and on pain now and then comes and goes, maybe 30, 40%, but you're heading towards that 60%. Just wait till you come in crawling in, they kind of laugh. It's like, and they go, I never heard that. And that's why I got to use some today things about, like, can you tell me what your blood pressure is? Well, it's kind of, no. Can you tell me right now? No, because you can't feel it. It needs to be gauged. Can you tell me your blood sugar level? No, you can't know unless you gauge. You cannot tell me how the central nervous system is functioning unless you get a scan by our technology to know, how well it's functioning. And they're like, wow. And they say, well, my chiropractor don't have it. I said, well, our clients, they want to not guess, they want to gauge. And I poke on their shoulder. I go, they don't poke, pop, and pray. And they laugh. They gauge, they don't guess.
Nice. Dave, you're dropping gems here. Thank you so much for that. So I said there were 3 questions, and you actually have answered 2 of them, which were, how do you, first one was, where do you go? And the other one was, who do you speak to? And the third one that I have more than anything is, how do you close them?
How do you find the easiest close? Everybody has a problem with the close.
Not you.
No, because, and you know what? I'll tell you one thing before I say this. Jerry Maguire, loved the movie, and one thing, remember they showed that old guy, David, with the paneling behind and the old suit on? Here's one important, basic, fundamental truth that you got to have. He goes, if you don't love everyone, you won't sell to anyone. And that's so true. Yeah. I love everyone because they're hurting. They don't know what's going to hit them. And my passion after 35 years is still strong because I love every person. And I don't love the cell. I love the person. When you love the person, you get the cell. Okay? So what happens is you go over the form, and any of the CLA people, please call me. I will send you the scripts and everything I have, no cost. And what you do is you say this. You go back to the form, go over the form, and basically get down to the close and say, listen, and you that are amiable, I want you to know that if you don't close for chiropractic, you've heard this before, you close for the medical. And so, and you're not closing. Get that out of your mind. What you're doing is drawing the line in the sand and saying, listen, David, you've never been to a chiropractor. I see here you have these headaches. I see you've tried everything and it's not working. And I see here you've been living this way for 10 years, and you're bringing back what they say to you. You'd love to get rid of this without drugs and surgery. That's what we do. And basically, if money is a problem, it's not a problem. We have a special. But here's the biggest thing, my last thing on here, and this is a kicker, and that's why I love this. It's like, David, your biggest health fear is getting worse, stopping your life. and not being able to function. You know what? You don't have to fear that. You have a choice right now to do something about it. Here's what we're doing. We're going to find out what's going on, if we can help you. If we can't, we'll tell you. But if we can, we'll let you know everything up front, because your goal is to be well and our goal is to be well. We don't just get you well, we keep you well. So bottom line is, even though it's a great offer, we're doing X amount, whatever the offer is, and be sure you check with the state, but there's got to be something. It's got to be $20 or $30 to, some charity or whatever, but it's got to be an exchange there. We'll tell you if we can help you, tell you if you can't. But here's the biggest question, David. Even though it's a great opportunity, I feel we can help you and we're on the same page. Do you really want to be well? You see, when people say, they either do two things, scare care, which I don't like, or they push them. It's like, well, David, let's get you signed up. And David's going like, what happened? You draw that line in the sand and say, basically, you want to be well? And David goes, yes. Well, I guess then you want to come in, right? And they go like, yeah. So the first question is not business. It's more, what is your health goal? Is to be well? That is what that's why we're out here educating. You make the decision. And I'm telling you what, David, they just unfolded. And like women, getting back to women, here's what I go. I've done this so much, and this is a closed technique. And I learned it from I won't tell you. It's a long story, but I'll tell you something. But I go to the lady. I go, number one, ma'am, women have this good thing God gave them, but it's also a bad thing. And go, what's that? It's that you take care of everybody in your family but yourself. And I said, you're worth it. And they just look at me, almost tears in their eyes. And then I say, here's the technique. So, ma'am, if any of your children or husband or any of your loved ones were hurting like you have, and I go back to the form for 15 years, and you thought they have the choice of getting help, what would you do? And they go, well, I'd help them. You're just as important. And they go, you're right. You're right.
Dave, I mean, I can't thank you enough, and we're not quite finished yet, but I just want to say that, one of the biggest challenges that we come across when we're talking to young doctors or senior doctors who have gone through this is that they always come in and say, I'm a doctor, I don't want to pitch in the thing. And I think you've erased that. Number one, there's two ways to erase it. Our technology brings the story about their inner health up front. And secondly, we've made it so easy with the insight that whether you're showing it or whatever else, it's the story, not the doctor, which is what you'd said. It's not about you, it's about them. And I'm going to say this in a bold face as much as I can. Look, I learned how to do what you did. You coached me. We've worked together for so many years, and I just took the confidence that I had of being a chiropractor and took it to the community. But there are a lot of doctors that are either A, too busy, or they just don't feel they have the confidence right now. And that's where you come in. And I want people to know you've been aligned with us for 30 years. So this is not something that's unusual for me to be doing, is to bring your name and your storyline up. But I want you to know that David, he goes across the country and into our country in Canada and otherwise to do what he does with his passion for 35 years. So if you aren't into screening yourself, or you need the master to come to you, you need to go to Dave Major Gameface at gmail.com or DaveMajorGameface.com itself. And you need to have a conversation with him, because there's nobody who lives in CLA's world as deeply as David does, and nobody who appreciates Dave as much as CLA does. So Dave, some parting thoughts for us to make sure that those who are on this video can get the most out of your wisdom.
Okay, well, I'm even going to Hong Kong next month. My buddy kind of felt bad. He's like, kidding? Yeah, no, he's worried about spending money. And Dr. Ben Dreyer just got a substation.
Ben's one of our great clients.
We talked this morning. But anyways, bottom line is my one buddy's worrying about having me come out again. But he's like, you helped me so much. But anyways, so I said, oh, okay, that's okay. I know it's kind of far to come to Nebraska from Ohio. I said, so I'm traveling 18 hours to go to Hong Kong because a gentleman just opened up, got a substation, left to practice, and he's going to open up, and I'm going around to set up corporations and talks, and I'm going to do a dinner talk, and we're going to do it. And it's like, but you know what? But you got to see the value in it. And again, I just love it. But my parting thoughts are this. As you all well know, Mr. Gameface here, I have this new business card, and I love it.
Nice. Show it up again.
Yeah, it's the ABCs of chiropractic. So It's the attitude, attitude, belief, commitment, and drive gives you your game face, or should I say game face? Okay, all right. You get your game face
too
on.
funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't get it on, but anyways,
That's because you're smarter these days, Dave.
yeah, it's smarter. Yeah, definitely. But anyways, the whole thing is this. The key is the 4 pillars. You have the right attitude that, you know what, screenings are not about selling. They're about educating. We don't sell, we tell. If you have the belief that, you know, people need to hear the message and that it's not about you, it's about them, and you need to tell the story with conviction and be committed, not just to do one, but to do a series of them. You'll get better and better, and then have that drive, put all that into action. You can sit around and have a great attitude, great belief, commitment, but if you don't have that drive and put into action right away, a screening. Some guy called one day and said, well, I did a screening, but all week long I just got 2 patients. I said, that's 2 more than you got if you would have sat at home.
Nice.
He called me up 6 months later and said, you know, the one patient referred almost 15 new patients to me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So you know what? Just keep on keeping on, and don't lose it. But have your game face on. You know, when you go out there, you have that game face that, hey, I'm here to serve, love, and give. And no matter what you do, and I'll leave you with my rap. You know, it's all about planting seeds. Some seeds may grow and others may not, but keep planting seeds is what you taught. You win some, you lose some, you can't refuse them because God is a gardener and He would choose. Don't stop planting the seeds. Word.
And to you. I love you, Dave. Thanks so much for being part of our lives.
Take care, Dave.
Be
God
well.
bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.